doesn't unfold like a single destination. It arrives in fragments that shouldn't fit together, yet somehow do. Neon-lit streets packed with tuk-tuks, golden temples watched over by orange-robed monks, jungle lakes, limestone cliffs, islands that look almost invented. One moment, you're surrounded by traffic, markets, and the pulse of a city that never really stops. The next, everything opens into mountain air, ancient ruins, rainforest silence, or water so clear it barely looks real. And somewhere in between, there are moments that stay with you longer than expected, like standing just a few steps away from an elephant in a sanctuary, watching something powerful move in complete calm. This is also home to Bangkok, the most visited city in the world, a place where modern chaos and ancient tradition collide in ways that don't make sense until you experience it. So before you think you already know Thailand, stay with me, because some of the places on this list will completely change your expectations. And by the time we reach the final destination, this country might feel very different from what you imagined. Let's begin with a place that doesn't look real at all. It doesn't look real at first. Water that feels too clear, cliffs rising almost vertically, everything perfectly framed like it was designed, not formed. Maya Bay is one of those places that instantly makes you question what you're seeing. And for many travelers, this is where Thailand begins. Arriving here is part of the experience. Long-tail boats cutting through turquoise water, engines echoing between limestone walls. Then suddenly, the bay opens, and everything becomes still. Soft white sand, shallow water shifting between shades of blue and green. Early mornings are quieter, and that's when this place feels closest to untouched. But there's more behind the beauty. This beach became globally known after appearing in a film, and tourism exploded almost overnight. It even had to close for years to recover. Now, access is controlled, swimming is limited, and nature is slowly returning. And just when you think this is as surreal as it gets, the next place changes everything again. You don't drive here, you arrive by boat, and that alone changes everything. Massive limestone cliffs rise straight out of the sea, cutting this place off from the mainland. From a distance, it feels hidden. Up close, it feels like a place that shouldn't be this easy to reach. The scale is what hits first. Climbers suspended against vertical rock walls, moving slowly across formations that feel almost unreal. Boats drifting across calm water, reflections barely shifting. And then the beach opens up. Soft sand, warm tones, cliffs wrapping around you in every direction. It's dramatic, but at the same time, unexpectedly calm. And then the details begin to reveal something different. Wild monkeys moving along the edges of the beach, watching, adapting, completely at home here. It shifts the feeling instantly, reminding you this isn't just scenery, it's a living place. Getting here takes around 10 to 15 minutes by long-tail boat from Krabi or Ao Nang, costing roughly $3 to $5. A simple meal by the beach usually falls between $5 and $12. And from here, the journey takes another turn into something even more iconic. From above, it doesn't even look natural. Two bays, perfectly shaped, connected by a narrow strip of land, surrounded by towering cliffs and water that shifts between shades of blue and green. Koh Phi Phi is one of those places that feels almost designed to impress. And the closer you get, the more unreal it becomes. Seen from the viewpoint, the entire landscape opens in a way that's hard to forget. Boats scattered across the water, moving slowly through colors that don't look filtered, just impossibly clear. Down at sea level, everything changes again. Long-tail boats lined along the shore, soft sand under your feet, and cliffs rising in every direction. It's busy, alive, but still visually overwhelming. Getting here usually means a ferry from Phuket or Krabi, taking around 1 to 2 hours, with tickets ranging from $10 to $20. Once on the island, most places are walkable, and that simplicity makes the experience even better. Meals near the beach typically cost between $6 and $15. And just when you think you've seen the most iconic scenery Thailand has to offer, the next destination reveals a completely different side of this country. Some places don't need an introduction. From the first second, you already know you're looking at something different. Koh Lipe is often compared to the Maldives, but even that doesn't fully capture what this feels like. Here, the water isn't just clear, it almost disappears. From above, sandbanks stretch into the sea like they were carefully shaped. Thin strips of white surrounded by shallow water shifting between turquoise and emerald. Then you move closer, and everything becomes more detailed. Palm trees, quiet beaches, small resorts hidden between nature. And for a moment, it makes you wonder, could you actually see yourself staying somewhere like this? A honeymoon, a special trip, or just a few days away from everything. And surprisingly, it's more accessible than it looks. A beachfront bungalow can start around $40 to $70 per night for one person, while couples often find stays between $70 and $150 depending on the location. Getting here usually involves a flight south and a speedboat transfer, costing around $20 to $40. Meals range between $6 and $15, often with a view that feels unreal for the price. And what comes next takes the experience in a completely different direction, away from calm waters and into something far more energetic. Not every place in Thailand is crowded. Some still feel hidden, almost like they weren't meant to be found so easily. Banana Beach is one of those places. Tucked between dense jungle and clear water, it doesn't try to impress. It just quietly does. From above, the contrast is immediate. Deep green forest meeting bright turquoise water, with a narrow stretch of sand in between. Boats anchored just offshore, the surface barely moving. It feels untouched, calmer, slower, more personal than the more famous beaches nearby. And for a moment, you start to wonder, how many places like this are still out there, just waiting to be discovered? But just a short distance away, the experience shifts completely. Luxury villas hidden in the hills, places like Trisara offering private pools with ocean views that feel almost unreal. Stays here can range from $300 to over $1,000 per night, depending on the level of exclusivity. And then something even more unexpected: ethical elephant sanctuaries, where you can observe these animals up close in a more natural environment, often costing around $60 to $120 for the experience. From quiet beaches to wildlife encounters and high-end escapes, this part of Thailand shows how much variety can exist in a single place. And what comes next moves even further away from the coastline, into something far more wild. This is where everything slows down, but at the same time feels more intense. Khao Sok doesn't try to compete with beaches or cities. It pulls you into something deeper. Raw jungle, towering limestone peaks, and water so still it almost feels untouched. From above, the landscape looks endless. Floating bungalows connected by wooden walkways, surrounded by emerald water and cliffs rising in every direction. Then you move closer, and the scale becomes real. Long-tail boats gliding silently across the lake, reflections stretching across the surface. And for a moment, it makes you think, Could you actually spend a night here, completely surrounded by nature? Staying in one of these floating bungalows usually ranges from $80 to $200 per night, often including meals and boat transfers. Getting here takes around 2 to 3 hours from Phuket or Krabi, with transport costing roughly $10 to $25 depending on the route. The experience itself feels completely different from anything along the coast, quieter, more immersive, almost disconnected from everything else. And from here, the journey moves away from still water into something far more energetic and unexpected. Not every place in Thailand moves fast. Some feel quieter, more grounded, almost like time slows down on purpose. Chiang Mai is one of those places. Surrounded by mountains, filled with temples, it offers a completely different energy from the islands and cities you've seen so far. From above, the contrast is clear. Ancient temples sitting within the city, while just beyond, layers of mountains stretch into the distance, often covered by morning mist. Then you step into nature. Waterfalls hidden in the jungle, trails leading deeper into the landscape, and everything feels calmer, more reflective, like the pace of the place is guiding you without forcing anything. But there are moments when this quiet atmosphere transforms completely. Festivals where thousands gather, lights filling the night sky, creating something that feels almost unreal to witness in person. Getting here is simple, with flights from Bangkok starting around $30 to $80. Meals range between $3 and $10, making it one of the most affordable places to stay longer. And from this peaceful setting, the journey shifts once again into something far more historical and unexpected. There are places that don't try to stand out, yet somehow stay with you longer. Pai is one of them. Hidden in the mountains of northern Thailand, it doesn't rely on big landmarks or famous spots. Instead, it draws you in with a slower pace, something that feels natural from the moment you arrive. The landscape opens in a different way here. Rolling hills fading into the horizon, quiet roads cutting through nature, viewpoints where everything feels wide and uninterrupted. And then the scenery takes on a new character. Pai Canyon, with its narrow paths and warm-toned ridges, creating something that feels both peaceful and slightly unpredictable. It's not about perfect views, it's about the feeling of being there. Time moves differently in this part of Thailand. You're not chasing experiences, you're letting them happen. Getting here usually involves a 3-hour drive from Chiang Mai, costing around $5 to $10. Meals are simple and affordable, often between $2 and $8. And ahead, the journey steps into a place shaped by centuries, where history still leaves a visible mark on the landscape. Some places don't just show history, they make you feel it. Ayutthaya is one of those places. Once one of the most powerful cities in the world, today it stands in silence, its ruins scattered across the landscape, holding stories that never fully disappeared. From above, the scale becomes clear. Temple after temple stretching across the land, each one carrying traces of something that once felt untouchable. Then you get closer, and the details begin to reveal themselves. Cracked walls, weathered statues, structures slowly being reclaimed by nature. And in one of the most striking scenes, a Buddha head wrapped in tree roots, where time and nature have become impossible to separate. Walking through this place feels different. Monks moving quietly between ancient walls, the sound of footsteps echoing across stone that has stood for centuries. Getting here is easy, about 1 to 1.5 hours from Bangkok, costing around $2 to $10 depending on the transport. Meals nearby range between $3 and $8. And from here, the journey leaves the past behind and moves into something shaped by water, movement, and constant energy. Not all water in Thailand meets the ocean. Some flows deep within the jungle, shaping landscapes that feel completely different from anything along the coast. Erawan Waterfalls is one of those places where the water doesn't just fall, it builds layer after layer of natural pools. From above, the structure becomes clear, multiple tiers cascading down through dense forest, each level revealing a different shade of blue. Then you step closer, and everything becomes more detailed. Smooth limestone steps, water flowing gently between them, creating pools that almost look too perfect to be natural. And in some of them, small fish move quietly beneath the surface, adding life to the stillness. Exploring here means moving upward, one level at a time. Each section feels slightly different, offering new angles, new textures, new moments to stop. Entry to the park costs around $8 to $10, and getting here from Kanchanaburi usually takes about 1 to 2 hours. Food options nearby range between $3 and $8. And from these calm, layered waters, the journey rises again into something shaped by elevation and endless viewpoints. Some places don't look real, even when you're standing right in front of them. The Similan Islands feel exactly like that. Located in the Andaman Sea, this group of islands is known for water so clear and colors so intense, it almost feels exaggerated. From above, the contrast is immediate. Massive granite boulders resting against bright white sand, surrounded by water shifting between electric blue and deep turquoise. Then you move closer, and everything becomes even more vivid. The shoreline feels untouched, the water almost glowing under the sunlight. And for a moment, you start to question, is this still Thailand or something that feels completely outside of it? And just beneath the surface, a different world begins. Coral reefs filled with marine life, colors and movement that add another layer to the experience. Getting here usually involves a boat trip from Phuket or Khao, costing around $70 to $120 for a full-day tour. What makes this place stand out isn't just how it looks, it's how unreal it continues to feel the longer you stay. And ahead, the energy changes completely, moving into something faster, louder, and impossible to ignore. Everything feels bigger here. The movement, the energy, the variety. Phuket doesn't slow down, it expands. From quiet beaches to busy streets, from temples to viewpoints. This is where everything comes together in one place. The island reveals itself in layers. Coastlines stretching in every direction, hidden beaches, viewpoints overlooking endless ocean. Then you drop into the details. Vibrant streets, local markets, temples rising above the city. The contrast is constant, and that's what makes it impossible to experience in just one way. And for a moment, you start to think, would you come here for the beaches or for everything happening beyond them? Some areas feel calm, almost untouched. Others move into something completely different. Beach clubs, nightlife, places that don't really stop. You'll find luxury resorts, simple local spots, and experiences like visiting ethical elephant sanctuaries, where encounters can cost around $60 to $120. Getting here is easy, with direct flights from many countries, often ranging between $40 and $150 depending on the route. Meals can vary from $4 street food to $20 beachfront dining. And right after this, the atmosphere changes completely, shifting into a city that never truly pauses. This is where everything collides, tradition and modern life, calm moments and constant movement. Bangkok doesn't try to balance them, it embraces the chaos. As one of the most visited cities in the world, it pulls millions of people into an experience that never really slows down. The city unfolds in layers. Golden temples rising between dense streets, modern skyscrapers stretching into the skyline, traffic flowing endlessly through every direction. Then you step into the details, street food being prepared in seconds, floating markets filled with color, small moments happening everywhere at once. And for a second, you start to wonder, Is this overwhelming, or is this exactly what makes it unforgettable? The rhythm here never fully stops. Day blends into night, and the energy only shifts form. Getting around is easy, with public transport and tuk-tuks costing just a few dollars per ride. Street food can cost as little as $2 to $5, while restaurants range between $8 and $20. And just when it feels like the city has shown everything, what comes next takes you somewhere far more peaceful, but just as memorable. Some places don't follow the same rules as everything else you've seen. Chiang Rai feels like that from the very first moment. Instead of ancient ruins or traditional temples, this part of Thailand presents something completely different, something almost surreal. The White Temple doesn't blend into the landscape. It stands out, bright, reflective, almost glowing under the sunlight, with intricate details that feel more like art than architecture. Every angle reveals something new: mirrored surfaces, sharp lines, symbols that feel both modern and deeply symbolic at the same time. And for a second, you start to wonder, is this still a temple, or something closer to a piece of imagination brought into reality? But Chiang Rai goes beyond a single place. Surrounding areas open into mountains, quiet roads, and viewpoints where mist moves slowly across the landscape. You'll find local markets, smaller temples, and a pace that feels far removed from the intensity of bigger cities. Getting here usually involves a flight or a long drive from Chiang Mai, costing around $30 to $80 depending on the route. Meals are affordable, often between $3 and $10. And right after this, everything reaches its peak in a place that defines Thailand itself. There are places you visit, and then there are places that stay with you long after you've left. Maya Bay is one of them. Hidden between towering limestone cliffs, this beach doesn't reveal itself all at once. As your boat slowly approaches, the walls begin to close in. The water turns brighter, clearer, almost unreal. And then suddenly, it opens up into something that feels completely untouched. The sand is soft, the water is calm, and the entire bay feels protected. Like a secret the world almost wasn't meant to find. But what makes this place unforgettable isn't just how it looks, it's how it makes you feel. Right in the middle of this experience, you might find yourself asking, would you come here just for a day? Or would you stay nearby and experience it slowly? Staying around Phi Phi can range from $80 to over $400 per night, depending on the level of comfort. Boat tours to reach Maya Bay usually cost between $20 and $50, and meals around the islands are typically between $5 and $15. And just when you think you've seen it all, you drift a little further. Somewhere between these towering cliffs, the sea transforms into something even calmer, almost like a hidden lagoon. From above, it reveals a shape that feels almost unreal, like a natural heart carved into the landscape. The water turns brighter, softer, and everything around you slows down. No noise, no rush, just the quiet movement of water and the feeling of being completely present. And maybe that's what makes places like this so powerful. It's not just about where you go, it's about what stays with you after. So now I'm curious, out of everything you've seen in this video, which place would you choose first? And if this is the kind of experience you're looking for, then you're in the right place. There's a lot more coming, places that might surprise you, challenge your expectations, or simply make you stop and take it all in. So if you enjoyed this, consider being part of what we're building here. And now tell me, where should we go next?